You're listening to Heart to Harts with Erika M, where midlife isn't a crisis, it's a calling. Unfiltered, unapologetic, and oh so real. Let's talk about it, shall we? Now here's your host, Erika M.
Welcome back. And it's me, Erika M., your host, the hostess with the mostest here on the Heart to Harts podcast, where I share my heart to yours. And today is going to be a mommy needs a drink, midlife drinking, and the secrets we tell no one. Except I'm going to unpack my secrets and tell someone, maybe a lot of you, maybe all of you, whoever's listening. First, let's start with the disclaimer, okay? Because it's important. As you know, I like to cover myself in all areas, so the following episode contains real talk on alcohol use, addiction, mental health, and personal experiences with sobriety. I'm not a licensed therapist yet, medical professional, or attorney. I am a sober woman that I am, in my way, and in midlife, sharing my lived experience and experiences for past, present, and, well, we'll see in the future. My personal insights and ongoing journey of becoming a certified sober coach and trauma-informed guide for women like me. Yes, I'm in that process. And maybe women like you too. If you or someone you love is struggling with alcohol, please seek professional help. Also, just know Central Office, AA Central Office can be found. All you have to do is ask Google, ChatGPT, and they will send you to your local Central Office of Alcoholics Anonymous as a step to saying, I need help. You're not alone. All right, so let's get this going. Have you gotten your drink? And because of the irony of this subject, of course, you can go grab your smoothie, your matcha, your latte, your seltzer, even your drink if that's what you have. I don't really there's no judgment. This is a no judgment zone right now. I will call it like it is. And by that, if you feel judged, well, then so be it. But it is what it is here. We're raw, we're unfiltered, we're unapologetic. And this is the space where we rip the gloss off midlife and talk about what's really going on underneath the Botox, the brunch, and the mom memes, all of these club sodas and dry bars and the smart recovery. And the opposite of addiction is connection. So women have to find a way to drink together, right? So I'm here to say, how about we stay sober together? Why not have more of these sober morning raves and these sober meetups that they're creating? I'm all for it because forging new paths to create new neural pathways is the only way we can create a new habit. And a lot of us today, well, we're talking about something that's become so normalized. It's not even looked at as something that needs to really change until it needs to be changed, until mom drives her car into children that are walking on the sidewalk like they did not too long ago in Westlake Village, California. And that's an ongoing case, if I'm not mistaken. But again, just off the top of my head, these daily midlife drinkers. And that one was after dinner with the boyfriend, and she decided to race her boyfriend home and she ends up taking out a family. That's the kind of drinking I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the Skid Row drinker, although I'm talking about the Skid Row drinker. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about the person who you can obviously smell the drinking upon. I'm talking about the one that's sneaking in her closet or keeps her bottle in her boot. Yeah, and I'm talking about her and him, not just her. But I'm a girl and I'm here and my platform's directed toward women in their midlives and men in their midlives. So come one, come all. And as you already all know, I am not a woke generation type girl. And I've made the mistake of even saying I'm Gen Z in one of the things I've written, you guys, and I put online, and I'm sure I've messed it up, but I don't even know where it is because I'm Gen X? Is that what I am? I haven't even figured it out yet. What I am is I am a sober woman, California sober. And if you don't know what that means, it means you're 420 friendly normally, and other people can call it what they want. And by that, it helps me to relax my anxiety. And I prefer that over a Xanax. Yeah, that white little pill that people pop that everyone does and songs are written about. We're not just talking about drinking here. We're talking about the whole gamut. The daily midlife drinker exists and always has. Let's not pretend it hasn't. The woman at home in her 50s with her beautiful skirt pressed to the T and, holding a martini glass and a vacuum cleaner in the other. Oh, yeah, it's made to be glamorous. And you know what it's also purposely made for? To target women. And how do they do that? Well, they do it by fancy names and, obviously smart marketing. And it's all targeted because in the 90s, men got together in the whole run-of-the-mill liquor industry and looked around and said, the beer is kind of like the man thing and it's kind of weighing itself out. No one's really picking up whiskeys and bourbons and what have you. So what did they say? They decided to target women. So they pre-packaged drinks to look pretty. Coolers, the skinny girl vodka, the berry coolers that are flavored, the mummy juice. How about girls' night out wine and the happy bitch, or cupcake wine and the French rapid wine? I mean, that was definitely targeted to women, and we're nearly half their size, can't drink as much, and known biologically to become alcoholically dependent way before men do. So not only are we targeted and also bombarded with all these false narratives of how glamour it is to drink, because it isn't. We all know it's really not. There's always a fine line or an invisible line someone crosses, whether it's a verbal crossing or a touch, or maybe going to that furthering that, having extracurricular activities with someone they shouldn't be having, or having that meltdown in front of coworkers, or maybe you've said that whole word vomit thing that happens when you drink too much because you're uninhibited, or you slept with someone you shouldn't have been sleeping with, or maybe you took advantage of someone because she was drinking and she couldn't say no. Maybe the one who said no too many times. Yeah, let that hit for a second. And yes, that's happened to me, and I'll talk about my story in a second. So the daily midlife drinker, is that you? The not falling, but let's go back a little bit. Not the falling down drunk, not the girl at the bar doing shots, but the high functioning woman. The mom with 700 hats on, the entrepreneur, the caretaker, the one pouring just one glass at noon to take the edge off, and not stopping until bedtime, or dragging her little tequila bottle, the little tiny ones you can throw in your purse and be inconspicuously taking no matter when or where, and drinking a latte. I'm speaking from experience here. Maybe that's been you. It sure as hell wasn't me. It certainly was. And no, it wasn't all the time. It was when there were periods of my life that were hellish and out of my control, and in slipping from my grasp, be it people, careers, money, material wealth, reputation. You can just fill in the gaps there. And I say that often because I think it's all of us. It's universal. We all have something. And we all have a reason, right? So the pouring of just one glass at noon, how many do that really? Who really does that? I can really rarely say very few. Yeah, and usually they don't stop until bedtime and they've passed out on the couch, or by the time dinner has arrived, it's either burned or they haven't finished it, or they've ordered out and they're sloppy and their kids know it, but they're too involved on their iPhones and or iPads and or with their friends because they haven't done their homework, and mom's sloshed. She doesn't care. Don't worry about her. She does this all the time. And that was not my story, but I know a lot of women who are like this and who have this story. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about judgment. This is about truth. And the truth is a hell of a lot of women are quietly drinking themselves numb in midlife. And no one's talking about it. No one's asking the soccer moms, hey, did you have too much to drink yesterday? No, because she's probably doing the same thing. So who is she? She's the woman with a Pinterest perfect house and a wine rack that's always full, or a wine room that's completely at the perfect degrees. Or she's the PTA mom who jokes that her Stanley Cup's filled with Chardonnay. Or she's the woman on her second divorce, or her third, or still in her first marriage, who knows, wondering if this is all there is. Yeah, there's many of them. And she's the one who holds it together all day and drinks to disappear at night, who does everything she possibly can to be relevant and yet feels so invisible. And so she drinks. It's Rosé and Xani for a lot of people these days. And a lot of times followed with Coke, because guess what? That's also not so taboo anymore. Did you know that? Midlife taboo cocaine, not a big deal. Keep you up, keep you down, keep it steady, keep it leveled, right? Until it's not. So why does it happen? Women in their 30s and 40s and 50s are drinking at record highs right now. And it's hard not to see why. Come on, man. There's burnout. People are carrying invisible loads of labor that no one sees in work, at home, personally, within themselves even. There's these stages that women are going through, the perimenopausal stage and the sleep deprived, the raising kids while caring for aging parents, and whom, overwhelmed, undersupported, expected to stay pretty, skinny, productive, beautiful, polite, and chill and so cool as fuck. Meanwhile, if you have any sign of left degree thinking, feeling, or even if you're just out of line and raise your voice in one way or another, you're a bitch, you're hard to deal with, you're difficult, you're not accommodating. Oh, she's difficult. And all of a sudden, you're not enough. It's your fault he's cheating. And guess what? There's no excuse for anyone who cheats. Let me just back that up a little bit because I want to stress that. The only reason why people cheat are because they're assholes and they don't know how to communicate what they really need because they probably don't know what that is. So let me also further explain into what I know to be true is that for me, alcohol was my medicine. And yes, there's the Sinclair method right now that helps you take a pill or a shot or something of that nature. I'm not an expert. You can look it up. But from what I do know and what I don't subscribe to is trying to drink sometimes on a beta blocker. No, thank you. I've messed with this disease my entire life, or it's messed with me, I should say. And I've tried to navigate through the shame and the guilt of it because society does not accept it, especially when you're 16, which is when I got sober the first time. I have been called a chronic relapser, which I don't agree to because there was a good chunk and portion of my entire life where even if I didn't drink, I didn't consider myself an alcoholic. I considered myself a problem drinker. When I had a problem, I drank. It was my medicine. It was what I did. It's how it helped me. And so somewhere along that way, the culture told us, me, you, it's okay to drink, but don't overdrink. But what happens if you've got that disease? It's the only disease that everyone makes you apologize for, that makes you carry a truckload of guilt for having, which really is a sad situation because yes, drugs are very common nowadays, and it's not just in a drink; it's in a pill form called Xanax, and it's one of the biggest epidemics today. Is having benzos at our disposal to kids who could just get online and Instagram and purchase it. And no, it's not meant. Did you guys know that Xanax is not meant to be taken more than 30 days? And it's not for like every day and to solve a problem. It's to get you through a moment. I would think maybe a crisis, some level of emergency in your life emotionally where you need something to get your anxiety down. And there are people who use, and Xanax for the right reasons on a daily basis because they've been diagnosed with a disorder that treats it, which is why it's made. So the people abusing it as a recreational drug are using it and not even realizing they're playing with a loaded gun. And now we're talking alcohol, a line or bump, whatever, and a pill to level it all out. And you think you're good and you're walking like nobody sees it, but you have zero idea that probably, and I'm going to say this off the cuff, 3 out of 5 people are on something. I'm not exaggerating and I'm not oversaying this. I'm absolutely speaking from experience and from what I have personally experienced and seen and heard. And no. So I'm not trying to, unpull your covers from you. You know who you are. I know, I get it. Wine helps. But then it doesn't. It really never did. Yes, it numbs, but what did it numb? And when did it numb the pain? You know what? It also numbs the joy and the presence in your life. It really does. So let me just be very clear about something and break a myth about all this. There's no shame in being an alcoholic. It is what it is. There's no shame in being what they call broken, because then we're all broken. Because there's not a person. And by the way, I never got addicted on cocaine, never got addicted on Xanax. Yes, I've had a Xanax, but not like I never abused it. It was for the right reasons. And it wasn't, I can't even remember when it was. I think it was 10 years ago. And then I had like a real nervous breakdown, but that's when I first got sober again. And then I literally have struggled since then with the whole concept of getting sober again. But what I'm trying to say is that there's the myth of this shame that's attached to being sober as much as there is to being a drunk or an addict. Do you get that? How does that work? How is it that it's okay that he looks good, has the nice car, or let's just say he, okay, just for the reference, or she has this, and that. Okay, I'll break it down. The husband, the family, the house, and yet she's popping pills and having rosé in the middle of the day, or Jose or Rosé or whomever. I hopefully you guys know Jose tequila shot, and I have a lot of friends that just have a little tequila shot. Let's take the edge off. This is partially to do with the fact that what I'm talking about, the whole day drinking mom, soccer mom, housewife, drunk. And there aren't just one type. You guys, here's what we've also bought into. There's only two types. There's one that's on Skid Row and she's homeless and or she's a whore and she slept with everyone and she's a liar and she steals. And this is what kept me out of AA for so long and for being sober, because I could not relate to the character defects. Okay, now I'm not talking your basic character defects here. We all do some fibbing, some lying, some this, some that. I am not speaking about that. I am speaking about like the criminal alcoholics that use alcohol as a mask. As I was saying earlier, it was my medicine, but some people use it as like their reasons to do what they do. No, you don't get to blame alcohol or your addict, your addiction to whom you truly, truly are. And yes, I don't know what it's like to be addicted to drugs, but what I've seen is that it's a whole nother animal. And I also know that it's just like being an alcoholic and being in your cups and drinking. It's that bad. At least it was for me. At least I can only imagine that's what it was like. Except I didn't sell my mom's stuff or steal from her. I didn't do that to anyone. And that was not in my nature, and it still isn't. It never will be. I don't care how destitute I am. It's just those people who do that, well, God bless them. And it just wasn't my story and never has been. So I could never really relate. So I can understand why the midday drinker, be it a guy at work that goes to lunch and has a couple back, and then, or after work with the boys, or during a function and, or a golfing session. I know there are alcoholic traps we all fall into because I've fallen into them. And it's society, guys. It's not it's elusive. It's so seductive. It's so subtle. I mean, we glorify these afternoons and they're all really meant. It's just sometimes so sad to watch, because really behind all of that is pain. It's a life we want that we think we need that doesn't exist. It's a life that maybe we bought into and made a mistake on and are now having no courage to stand up to it. So we drink and we use and we mask it until we can't, until it either kills us or it kills people around us, or it's killed everything spiritually within us that nobody wants to be around us. And that's its purpose. Haven't you heard, oh, alcohol is a spirit? Well, yeah, it is. And you guys often hear me speak about my spiritual aspect, about my life in general. And that's because it's taken a spiritual experience for me each time I got sober. Now, I say this not with, each time I got sober and you can just keep getting sober. No, the idea, which is unrealistic in my opinion, is to stay sober forever. Well, if that's the case, I'd be sober 38 years now. Do the math. I'm 54. I got in at 16. Is that right? Did I do that right? I'm not even trying to guess right now. What I'm trying to say is, if that worked, it would have worked, because I'm a very strong, independent woman. But this disease does not discriminate. It doesn't care if you're a soccer mom or if you have 5 kids or if you have no kids and you're a successful career woman or a successful man with multiple careers and multiple businesses and successful coach or a trusty friend. It does not care if you're a scientist or if you're a doctor or if you're a homeless guy on Skid Row and you live in a cardboard box under a bridge. It does not care, because it's demonic. It's a spirit. It's meant to kill your spirit, literally. And that's what it does. Little by little, it edges God out. It goes in through the ego, through clout chasing, through shiny, sparkly things. And it always revolves back, for me, back to my spirituality, which in concept is what AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, is about 12 steps that are designed to take you to the end of something called a spiritual experience, which is what Bob Anderson, Bill Wilson, Dr. Bob, have created for us who are in AA. And although I'm not an AA thumper these days, and I have been part of it, I can tell you that my drinking started when I was very, very young. And it was started because I was given it by cousins who then took advantage of me sexually. And fortunately, I didn't get assaulted to the point where it was graping. It was different than that. And it was just 2 cousins that I had never known, but it was something I was given. I was given copious amount of alcohol, and we'd listen to Van Halen and REO Speedwagon and Ozzy Osbourne. I'd just gotten back from New Jersey. Well, not gotten back. We moved from New Jersey. I was 10 and a half. We lived in a duplex, and then they had created this whole, trust me, I did not grow up rich. And that's not an excuse either, because you'll hear it in a lot of people who refuse to accept the fact that they're an alcoholic is because I have no reason to be an alcoholic. Why should I be an alcoholic? There's the ego again. Or I'm worth nothing, but I'm an alcoholic and I'm going to continue this path because of the way that I see life and the handout. So I'm a martyr, the way that my life has been handed to me. So I'm going to drink because of that. Or I'm just want to feel good and I'm bored and I really don't have a reason, but I'm just going to drink anyway. There's all kinds of reasons why people drink and there's all sorts of excuses we use. But what I'm talking about is the midlife hump where we're like, oh shit, this is my life. And do you find yourself in a place where you'd like to stop drinking maybe or just altogether? But even when you do, you're shamed for it? This is the only disease where people are like, oh, they don't give you high fives. They kind of look at you like, oh, wow, what did you do? What happened? Yeah, shit happens because you completely mentally fucked up out of your brain. And even if you're a high functioning alcoholic or addict and you've got it so together, so you think you will hit your bottom, you will hit a bottom. It may be a high bottom. It may be a bottom where no one else can think of it as a bottom, but it will be something, some realization in your life where you stop and go, I cannot live like this anymore. I am wearing too many masks. And before you know it, your kids are getting older. They start to realize that, what, you are using this as a big crutch. And it's no wonder mom's really happy sometimes and not the other day. I used it to get through living with my mother, who was, as you know, if you've listened to my episodes, abusive. I lived with a malignant, narcissist, untreated, bipolar mother who had flying monkeys, my 3 siblings, and my baby brother not included so much, but my 2 oldest brothers, eldest. And I dealt with the pain of being essayed by cousins and then attempted rape by my eldest brother, about being physically and verbally and psychologically abused on a daily with my mom, and having to come back at 26, 27 to live with my mother after my failed divorce to a man that was literally just like my mother, abusive, callous, cold, mean, on and off, warm, hot, cold, warm, hot, cold. And then just the abuse was just a nightmare. It was horrible. I did not and do not ever wish to go back on that, but I need to say it because it's part of the reason why I survived that era is because I actually drank. I drank through it like a lot of women through my mid 30s, 40s. That's when I got sober. I'd gotten my second DUI. I'd gotten one when I was 28, I believe 27, 28. Then I got one when I was about 35 and it changed my entire life in the course. And that's when I took getting sober seriously. Not when I was 16, when I did it for the fun of it and everyone else was doing it and because I kind of had to. And then I didn't for a while, but even through my marriage, as I now am sober and I'm excavating my life, I look back at when I was 30 or let's say mid 20s, okay, when I was married, and how my ex-husband would get me drunk to take advantage of me and how I'd wake up bleeding because I didn't know what happened to me down there. These are facts, people. These aren't just things I randomly just chose to know. It was part of the drinking era of my life. And the story of my sobriety is much prettier, but it wasn't exactly easy. And I've lost a lot of things because of it, because I didn't understand how to wrap my mind around something that I couldn't control. Why am I so powerless over this? What about me makes me so different than everyone else that I can't get this? And how am I going to live with this for the rest of my life? Those are some seriously daunting things. Like, can I do this? And what if I fail? And damn, did I fail. I failed miserably many, many times. Us women are supposed to hold it together. We're supposed to look good. We're supposed to smile through it. We're supposed to raise babies. And even if some of us didn't get those nannies, a lot of people do. We have to run the meetings. We have to cook the meals. We have to do the laundry. We have to check the schedules and make sure the homework's done. And we also have to provide food and go grocery shopping and, make certain everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then when do we get to look at ourselves? Very rarely. Very, very rarely. And if we fall apart, well, we better do it quietly, right? Nobody gets to see it. We conceal it and we make excuses, but it doesn't work. We're overdosing in broad daylight, guys. And a lot of people are disassociating with prescription pads. You know what I'm saying? This isn't the way to raise kids while we're dying inside. This is not working. And it's got to stop and change. I hope to change some of your minds on how you approach and think about alcoholics and alcoholism, because not only is it an addiction, just like Xanax is, my friends, if you're not using it the proper way, you're an addict. I don't care how you want to spin that. But if you're using it as a crutch on a daily basis and you're not supposed to, and you keep increasing it and your tolerance is going up and you're increasing it, and not only that, but you're using that maybe with a glass of wine or two or three, you got a problem. You may not want to see it right now, but you will. And I hope it's not behind a driver's seat or behind bars or in a hospital bed or when it's too late, because that's usually when it happens. Let me just talk a little bit about that white pill I mentioned, Xanax. You know, the one passed around like gums at a girls' trip. Like gum. I don't know why I said that. And the mommy's little helper, that it's anything but helpful, to be honest with you. It's a depressant. It's a stress reliever. It's an anxiety pill. It's become so normalized that women take it to sleep, to wake up, to calm down, to go out, to fly, to not cry at dinner, to get through it. I don't know. But here's the thing. Xanax is not harmless. It's not a vitamin. It's a benzo. It's habit forming. It rewires your brain literally. And when you stop, the withdrawal is wicked and it can literally kill you. And how I'm talking is panic attacks. They increase. Your heart palpitations increase. Hallucinations, seizures are extremely common, and emotional collapse, which is obvious. It hand in hand with all of that. Panic attacks definitely mean emotional collapse. And we dress it up, you guys. We dress it up and we joke about it and we hide behind labels and privilege and spa weekends, and we think it's okay because nobody's watching, but people are not paying attention because we try and cloak it as some normal shit that's going on in our day to day. I don't know, if she's on Instagram and smiling, she must be okay. Really? I'm sorry. But I dated the last person who did not only cocaine every time I saw him, but also Xanax to go to sleep, which was also baffling. And I joined in with him on some of it, but you know what's crazy to me is I never put it all together. How the drinking, the cocaine, and the Xanax was all his trifecta. Not mine, but his. And it was just so interesting to sit back and watch. And I wasn't drinking at the time. You know, it's just so interesting how the addiction will take over. It's quiet. It's sometimes very, very clean. And the worst part is no one wants to talk about it because it makes everyone feel so damn uncomfortable. And unfortunately, let me hit you with some real numbers because the numbers just don't lie. Over 140,000 people die every year in the US from alcohol-related causes. That's 380 people a day. More than car crashes, more than opioids. And women are catching up to men very fast, by the way, where high-risk drinking among women rose about 58% over the last 15 years, and women in their 40s and 50s like me are drinking more now than any time in recorded history. And you know what's wild is that we were warned about binge drinking in college. Yet that's where it happens, right? We're groomed to get there. But no one warned us that the real danger comes in midlife, behind the closed doors in daylight with clean wine in a stemless glass. And it hits women harder. No one talks about it. Women absorb more alcohol into their bloodstream than men. It's a fact. We get sicker faster, and I can so tell you we do. I mean, it was like, for me, coming off of alcohol, because once I started, I could start one day, okay, I'm going to have, a glass with dinner. And usually it was like after I'd had a year of sobriety or something. And then I'd go out again, maybe in a week or two, or I'd bring a bottle home and I'd say only bring one. Then I'd bring two home. I'd never make it past the two mark because my body would just shut down and I'd pass out. And that would happen all the time. And by the way, blacking out is a sign of alcoholism. Not to say that if you've done it, you're an alcoholic and oh my God, go tell everyone. I'm just telling you that normal drinkers don't question if they're normally drinking. People who don't have a problem ask themselves, do I have a problem? This is the only disease that will tell you that you do not have a disease. It's mental, it's physical, it's both. And that is where the twist happens, people. But no one really does discuss the biggest part of this all, which is the spiritual malady. And you won't hear that in AA. I mean, yes, I have been the AA thumper and I've been the AA hater. Now I'm smack in the middle of it because I believe that in reality, if I had been able to stay sober the last 38 again, years of my life, if I could mostly stay sober, which is what I was, mostly sober. I had relapses, of course. I'm human. I don't know anyone here that hasn't had a test of their own willpower and or fate or circumstance. So anyone judging it, why don't you try staying sober and doing what I've done and walk my shoes and go through my life and then tell me how you can stay sober 38 years straight since 16 years of age, not understanding, not having any help as to why you even drank or why you've been shutting down and numbing out since you were 11 and 10 and a half. Maybe even sooner. There's so much that's coming up in unearthing because there's reasons why we do what we do, why we pick the people we pick, why we've chosen what we've chosen, why we're handed what we're handed. And we can call it karma, we can call it fate, destiny, we can call it whatever you want to spin it as. It is what it is. And if you are one, the best advice I can give you is to face it head on and fuck what everyone thinks about it because this is your life. I'm going to tell you something really raw right now about why it's taken me a little longer to drop this episode. It's because I sat with it for a long time and I'm not sure I should be speaking on it, but I'm going to. I'll be very vague about it. My really dear friend recently passed of liver failure and kidney failure and how I believe it got septic in his bloodstream due to the intestines and a bunch of reasons and complications. I never knew this person had a liver problem until he had a liver problem. And I'd often smell alcohol on his breath when he'd come over and do what he needed to do for me and my boys. And when I say boys, I mean my dogs. And so I would just be so like, I was going through my own amount of crap in the last 3 years with a lot of stuff. I lost people. I lost best friends. I lost my son. Not my son literally in life, but emotionally, physically, we've separated and we are estranged as well as, and if you don't know about it, you can listen to my other episodes. My point is I've lost jobs. I've had to sue company. I've had to, and one, I've had to shut down a dog rescue. I've had to rescue my third rescue dog from the person that was supposed to rescue. I've had to be slandered and defamed and then come back from it. I've had my comebacks too, but I've had to pause and sometimes drink through it. I'm not going to lie because I didn't have anyone. I literally have been alone for the last 2 years. And it's a lot to do with why I am still standing here today is because I'm sober. And I looked back at what has happened with my friend who has passed. May he rest in peace. My heart breaks, to be honest. Listen, maybe it's wine o'clock for you somewhere or cognac o'clock for you over there. I don't know. I don't know your treat for the day or what your reward is, but I know that it's not just one glass before carpool. I know that it's a little white pill to sleep, and I know that it's just a bump to get through brunch. Babe, we know. And it's not cute anymore. And you're not getting younger. And your system and your body will break down and eventually it will stop just like my friends did. And if I continued on my path, I know for a fact I would have died from alcohol poisoning. Because what happens is that I can't stop until my body makes me stop. That's how bad that allergy is in my body. So while my mind is ready to forego it in one way or another, and even though at first it's like, oh, it takes the edge off, and then it doesn't, then you get sloppy. And then you get really sleepy. I would just fall asleep. I would just fall asleep. So embarrassing. But that's what would happen. And that's what I would want. And then comes the shame and the guilt. And how do I look? And oh my God, did anyone see me or did anyone hear me? So then I would just start hiding and hiding at home, drinking alone. I didn't go to bars. I never really did. But when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I might have. And the lies were just to myself because no one saw me. My son saw me at a younger age, but he never saw me really drunk. When he did, it was when he was much older. And I believe it has a reason to do with why he's taken upon himself to use and weaponize my alcoholism against me when deep down inside, he's always been very proud of me for being sober. But again, that's a whole nother ball of wax. My addiction, the power of my addiction and the addiction of power was to kind of have control over it. Does that make sense to you? The power of my addiction and the addiction of my power were what kept me going back in this loop. And it was my drink of choice was wine. And then later, it was more like, okay, well, I'll have a shot of tequila, hence the whole Rosé, Xanax culture and, how midlife women kind of get stuck in all that. That's what happened to me. So while I didn't get stuck in the Xanax culture, I know a lot of people that are, a lot. And it worries me and it troubles me because your body can only take so much. And there are other solutions. Maybe you can't see your life without drinking because of social reasons, because you're in a circumstance in which you are demanded to show up to certain things where functioning is drinking. Well, let's try something. I'm going to try saying something that maybe a lot of people, if you listen and you're in AA, are going to be like, oh my God. I know AA stands for Alcoholics Anonymous, but what if I told you that while staying anonymous is part of keeping your anonymity, got it, maybe for work reasons or XYZ, what about me? What bothered me so much is that I always felt like it kept me in a box, the whole anonymous part. And today we have so many more people, like celebrities, that are coming out and saying they're sober, and it's not a taboo thing anymore. It's not like, oh my God, this person's, sober like it used to be. It's like a cool thing. And in fact, in LA, where I'm from, going to a meeting, let's say there's so many meetings, okay, by the way. And I repeat, if you need a meeting, call central office. That is AA central office. And you can go basically online, Google it, chat GPT it. You will find the information. Call them and or get an app called Sobriety and or an AA meeting app and go to a meeting. Listen, open your mind. I know when I went, I was like, I am not like these people. I am not this person. I am not these people. And I refuse. And for a very, very long time, it kept me sick because the anonymity part was like, oh, you don't tell people we're this. And I couldn't relate to the drug addicts. I couldn't relate to the person who slept around with her best friend's husband. I couldn't relate to the person who lied compulsively. I couldn't relate until I found my people. And I'll never forget it. There are people that have been in my life since I was 16 when I first got sober, and I was thrown in a rehab by my mother, whom assumed by me coming home one day that I was just this problematic alcoholic child, which I was not. I had just gone to a day party. But lo and behold, I ended up being one. Maybe by design, I don't know. But no, I know definitely that I have used drinking as a way to cope. And a lot of you are. And if you are, I feel you. I feel your pain. I do. But it doesn't have to be painful. And it doesn't have to be ugly. And you don't have to feel stigmatized or shameful of it. And you don't always have to go to AA for the rest of your life. But I will tell you this. You will have to get some things done to get to the bottom of why you do what you do. Put whatever you need to. Why you drink the way you drink, when you drink the way you drink, how much you drink, who you drink with, why you don't drink, with whom you don't drink with, and or your reasoning. That is what you got to get to the bottom of, to unearth the reasons as to why you're using this as a crutch. And some will be very quick to say, well, it's because I was this, and this happened to me when I was 7, and this is how I've coped. Okay, I get you. And that's a whole nother gamut. We're speaking right now, not to the extremes of those. And God bless you. And I wish you only the best. And I truly mean that. I really, with all my heart, do, because those are special, in-depth cases that I don't even want to touch. And I'm not saying that my case isn't any, I'm just saying there's no comparison in some cases, and some cases deserve their own place. I'm talking about the day-to-day drinker that has no freaking reason why they're drinking, and but they're drinking, or they're using, and they're doing both, or they get too sloshed before dinner time even comes, or before the kids get home, or they forget to pick up the kids, or I don't know. They're drunk every night because they work so hard and they're filling all the gaps, and they're not happy, and they don't have a boyfriend, or they're not married yet, and they haven't kids yet, but their families expect them to be. And they have all a list of reasons why they could never tell anyone they drink that many bottles of wine. I have had in my relapses where I have literally had to hide my bottles so much that I had to go and drop them off somewhere else in another dumpster so that my roommate wouldn't know. I've had so many instances where I'm humiliated just by myself in that this is who I've become. And that is the reason why I do this podcast and speak about sobriety, because I'm 54 years old. I have almost 8 months sober again. I'm California sober because I found something that works for me, my anxiety that I don't often get, to be honest with you. But when I drank and I used, well, I didn't use, but there were occasions. I literally, when I say use, I mean drinking. I used drinking as a drug, and it didn't matter what time. Eventually, it got to a point where it didn't matter if it was midday or if it was evening. That started, of course, when I was in my 30s, in my 20s, of course, I was a weekend drinker. I didn't drink during the week. I didn't go all the time. It ended that way. When I started drinking, every time I'd relapse, I'd go under these binges. It wasn't like I drank every day. I just would be on a binge because my body demanded it until I got so sick I'd had to be medically detoxed. And I had that about 3 times. I'm not ashamed of it anymore. And that's what I meant by AA being anonymous, and how I feel it totally keeps the stigma in place of like, oh, you're an alcoholic. Oh my gosh, you're an addict. Well, yeah, I've had some stuff happen to me, and sometimes people do use these things as I have. And no, we don't have to tell people. And no, that's where the whole anonymous comes. But what if we took that out? What if people were just to say, just like they say yes, and you don't have to tell everyone you have cancer, or you have, XYZ. You don't have to tell anyone you're an alcoholic or that you have problem with, you have an alcoholic disorder. And yeah, people use that term. Like I said, there's something called the Sinclair method because people weren't okay with never having a drink again, but they don't want to be a drunk and they need to socially function. So there's alternatives. And do I recommend them? No, because I haven't tried them, but they're out there. And there are ways to get through these things that aren't always AA related. And if you fall back and you relapse, you don't have to be ashamed. I don't care how many times, but what I do care about is the character that you keep while you're doing it. Are you going out and doing horrible things? Are you committing acts against yourself and people? Are you mistreating your children and yourself? Are you neglecting your animals? I don't know, because all that really does matter. And then, yeah, you do got to put more emphasis on stopping, because what you're doing is using it as a crutch to make excuses for what you're not taking care of. And I'm not here to lecture you, but I'm here to tell you from experience, those excuses and those reasons are all just that, excuses and reasons. I did not get sober until I decided to face my fear about being an alcoholic. I decided to face the fear of being a relapser and chronically relapsing, because I don't know if I can do this every day of my life for the rest of my life. But I know they say do it one day at a time, and you'll hear it in the rooms. And the rooms are called alcoholics meetings, by the way, AA meetings. We call those the rooms for those who don't know. And I do say this with a lot of pride. I love AA. It has given me a life beyond my wildest dreams. And what I mean is not materially, I mean inside. My trust, my relationship with God, my creator. And yeah, I'll bring up God, because if you're not having a spiritual experience on this earth, I don't know what you're doing, but okay, you can go and approach it that way. But then maybe this podcast and me listening to me isn't your thing, because I don't support that. I support God. I support being his vehicle to getting this message out to every single person out there that doesn't think that they can do it, or that maybe it's too late and they've lost it. No, you haven't. If I can reinvent myself at 54, you can reinvent yourself at whatever age you're at. And I don't care if you're 60 or 65 or 70. There are plenty of people who got sober much later in life. It takes what it takes. And I'm not here to judge you for it. Like I said, I'll judge. Well, who am I to judge? But we all do it. I'll judge you by your character and what you do. It's not about did you drink or did you use a drug? Yeah, it matters and influences your, obviously, you're going to be influenced. But do you keep repeating that same behavior? It's kind of like you're throwing the rocks and hiding your hands all the time and saying you didn't throw the rocks. Well, yeah, you did. You picked up the drink. You know what it's going to do, but you still did it anyway. And then there's those people who can't even do it when they're sitting on their hands and they're behind jail in a jail cell. So maybe you don't really want to be sober and you don't want to check out. Maybe you enjoy being checked out. So own it. Own it if that's what you want. Here's the thing is I give you a free pass today. Either take a 30-day challenge and clean yourself up and then go to 60 days. And then I challenge you to do 90 days. And then after that, if you're feeling great, keep going. Or don't. But have a backup plan and get support. Because this isn't an easy task. Getting sober again isn't easy. I did it by getting into what I knew was my spiritual toolbox, because I've been in AA since, like I said, 16, and I've done the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. I have worked these steps. I have worked with a sponsor religiously, and I can give you testimony that would just blow your socks off. And I won't do it for now, but I will later in more episodes as we uncover more of this like sober life that I'm having, and I love it. I've been, like I said, in my own hermitage, and I'm a hermit, and I'm sober, and I'm a sober woman, and I'm 54. I was about to speak to myself in third person again, but that's my whole point. You know what I'm saying? It's like I see myself differently. I don't look at myself the same way. I know that I'm going towards my dreams, Doesn't matter how old I am. It doesn't matter what I didn't get to keep. It wasn't for me to keep. It wasn't for me to do or have. And the awakenings that we have don't have to be ginormous. They can be small. It can be like, you know what? I think I'm just going to not drink anymore. And those around you that protest it, take a good long look and listen. The people who are with you would never question your, especially if they know you well enough and know that you have a problem or suspect it or are maybe not showing that they know, because they then would have to confront their own alcoholism and or addiction or addictions and aren't supportive because they can't be. So this is where it gets scary, because you get to unearth who really is in your corner and who has your back. For a very long time, I had a friend who, even though was very supportive, had her own bout of alcoholism. Her father was one. She ended up marrying a very high functioning, in my opinion, functioning alcoholic, heavy drinker, but I'm no one to diagnose anyone. So God forbid. But, became a friend of mine at a very young age. And then, I would always implore, the whole take the edge off and just one drink in moderation. That's great. But I'm not that person and never will be. But I tried my best to surround my life, because I loved her and I still love her. I will always love her. But we're not the same people. And I don't live that same lifestyle. And even if I don't, it was kind of like I would never be invited to the wine things or the parties, because their life and their social lives revolved around all of that. Things I just didn't get off on, things I didn't, it wasn't that I didn't get off on, that I didn't enjoy doing when I did once upon a time. It stopped working for me a very long time ago. And the only reason I did it was because it was social and because I thought I could. And then I did it for a very long time, not knowing it was my medicine. So it was very hard to balance those two, because I didn't even know that was going on. So like I told you guys before, and I'll say it and I'll repeat again, Bob Anderson says, who's part of AA, self cannot see self. That's why we go to AA, because we get to see each other in each other. We get to share that X crumb nobody talks about. And we know we all have it. We all know what we've done. The ugly stories of hiding, the ugly stories and bouts of the detox, the disgustingness of the detox, I should say. The bouts of like stomach problems and the vomiting and it's disgusting. If you've ever seen someone come off alcohol, it's disgusting. It's vile what it does to your body. And if you're lucky, your liver will regenerate and you haven't been physically harmed from it, like my friend who died, like many die. I don't want us to be a statistic. And I know that this hits women harder, and that's why I'm talking about it. And like I said to you, that we absorb more alcohol into our bloodstream than men, and we get sicker faster. And of course, we are more vulnerable to liver disease and cancer and stroke and depression. Alcohol has a direct link to breast cancer. And if you didn't know that, I'm telling you now, even one drink a day raises your risk. It does. And in all the bottles that you'll pick up alcohol-wise will say this can cause cancer. No wonder everyone's dying from it, because drinking is so normalized. It's like water. Now, add in hormone shifts and it's a powdered keg, if you will. It's kind of like it's going to explode at one point, and you have to face that. If you're not willing to face it, it's going to happen either way. So my own story is very, very simple, but very complicated. And alcohol was my remedy, was my medicine, was my drug of choice until it wasn't, until it stopped being my best friend and it became the gorilla in the room that told me when it was done. I would wake up in a daze, in a fog, in a place where I didn't even recognize my own reflection anymore. And I'd look in the mirror and I'd say, who are you? And not because of the age or wrinkles or that I was ugly, but because I had checked out of who I was for so long that when I did check back in, I had to ask myself, what are you doing? It was literally like a devil and an angel on each side going, you no longer have the kid to raise. My son is 32 to date. I have 2 beautiful dogs. I live alone with one person who's a very dear friend, roommate, in a house. And I live in a coastal town, and I have a couple of businesses, and all created because I was sober and not because of anything else other than God that got me through this last relapse, which nearly killed me before the other one killed me. And I say that not in a small brevity. I was out to not feel in a big way. I was tired. My heart had been broken way too many times, and the betrayal was just so heavy on so many layers that I couldn't find my way out. I couldn't see the trees through the forest. I just checked out of my own life, and I was drinking to cope, and to drinking to connect had become a vague assumption of mine, which really was just an illusion because I never connected with anyone. I was really drinking to just disappear. And somehow I was still performing like everything was just fine because no one was questioning it. No one was close to me. I had basically cleared everyone out of my life from previous sobrieties and also realizations and wake ups and wakenings and clearing the garbage. But nothing was fine. Nothing in my life was fine until I realized it's time. So I started to get on my knees again. That week that I got sober, it was the week of November, first 2 weeks of November of 2024, when I really started to look at myself and go, you just lost something again due to this again. And now what are you going to do? Because it doesn't get better if you don't get better. And I had to face my fear, which was, can I do this again? Do I want to go back to AA? Can I go back to AA? And that's what I did, guys. I went back to AA reluctantly, but willingly, because I was afraid that what if I don't do this again? And to this day, I have a healthy fear of, oh my God, what if I drink again? Drinking to me is like death. I could do anything else. Nothing scares me. I'm not interested in drugs. I'm not interested in pills. I love my 420 once in a while. And when I need to get to sleep or I need to actually relax, because it does relax me, and I don't take pills. I do not do Xanax. I've seen what it does to people. I know how it can kill you. Look at Matthew Perry. And I'm not saying this because it's not been speculated. It's alleged. I don't know the facts. But take a look around you. How many people have died from cocktails? Hmm? How many people mix drinking with cocaine just to even out? And they get behind a wheel and never come out of that wheel because they're in a box. What I do know is that sobriety is a way of life. And if you're not willing to change everything, you will be scared out of your mind to do it, by the way. You may keep stepping away from it because it seems impossible. How am I going to do this if I do this? How am I going to explain this away? My husband's going to say this. You've got to put on the biggest pair of spiritual balls and trust God and say, God, I trust you. I'm going to do my part, but on a daily basis, I'm going to do the work. Because if you don't do the daily check-ins with God, you can forget all of this. And if you don't find a God, then you can forget about it because then you're depending on yourself. And self can't see self. That's a fact. You have got to be self-aware. But you need people around you that are healthy, who are also of good nature and that care about you, who have your best intentions, not your worst, not who've proven that they've betrayed you or co-signed your BS, people who are literally going to not enable you and say, hey, I'm doing the work. Let's do the work. I see you doing the work. Let's keep going. Let me be real with you. And that's what AA does for me. So I had to go back because that was my mirror to me. Do I go every day? No, but I do Zoom meetings, and I did almost 90 meetings on Zoom. And I became part of a group. I took up a meeting that I recently, stopped had a commitment with for the majority of my sobriety this time. And I know that I did this because these are the tools I was taught from my previous years in sobriety. You don't lose everything just because you relapse, by the way. If you're a chronic relapser, welcome. I'm here with you. I hear you. I see you. I feel you. And I know you're scared because you've been here before, but you can do this again if you get back up. You just got to ask for help. Even if it means crying and looking a fool, even if it means telling the truth and finally getting it all off your chest. If you've done something unthinkable, find someone you can trust and talk about it. And if you can't, scream about it. I swear to you guys, I'm going to start a movement on screaming. The primal screaming is a real thing for me. It has been the only release that gets when I get to a point where I can't take it anymore, I primal scream. It's been one of my new things and I love it. I do it in a pillow, I do it in a car, but I do it and I feel amazing afterward. So finding and your earmark to what makes you level out, be it AA, be it Sinclair method, be it not drinking with abstinence and through church, because I've done it all. I've done yoga, I've done hypnotherapy, I've done everything. And what got me sober this time was the Ho'oponopono's prayer that I kept repeating. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you. Forgive me, by the way, if I said that completely wrong, but I repeat this mantra over and over again. That's what ho'oponopono means in Hawaiian. And it just kept repeating it. I literally would meditate over it hour after hour when I couldn't sleep, because I didn't sleep when I drank. And when I was binging, I could not sleep. I would literally be up around the clock. Don't know what it does, but I'm telling you, when it messes with your body, it messes with your body. So I know you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't gotten there yet, save yourself. There's a lot of support groups out there, moms, a lot. You're brave. Just be aware. And you're not alone. Again, you are not alone. You are not unique, slow fake. I get it. We get it. We moms or non-moms, but day drinkers or just female drinkers, we get it. So if this is hitting close to home, good. That means you're waking up. Maybe this is your moment to pivot. So put down the glass. Stop buying the lie that you're powerless, because you're not. You are powerful. And your power lives in you, not at the bottom of a bottle or in a bottom of a glass or in between lines in a bump. It doesn't, and it never did. AA is one form of getting your relief. There is central office in most cities. AA central office can be found if you just chat GPT it and look for it. I promise you it's worth trying. If you do nothing else, you just keep trying for yourself, because you are very much worth it. And with that, I will close. Here's what I say to myself when I want to run in the other direction. I don't want to face myself. I don't want to do the work. I want to hide. I want to just sulk, which, by the way, you can do. But get up. Take the first step. Look at yourself in the mirror. Be nice to yourself. Look at who you are and know that there's something better and bigger behind that face that you're looking at, and that nothing will stop you if you do not let it. No matter what's thrown at you, you just keep going. You just keep dusting yourself off and rise. And forgive yourself for what you did when you didn't even know how to cope, okay? And I forgive myself for what I did when I did, and I didn't even know how to cope. And may I stay with myself even when it hurts, and may you stay with yourself even when it hurts. And may I choose peace over performance. I want you to choose peace over performance. And never silence the truth to make someone else feel comfortable. Speak your truth. You don't have to be ashamed of being who you are. All of you, all of who you are. Not a piece of what you've been. All of you. Honestly, if this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, or better yet, sit with it. Let it sit, stir something up. And if you're on your own sober journey or just thinking about it, I see you. I am you. And I'm walking this path beside you. Until next time, stay real, stay grounded, and stay the hell awake, people. And remember,
well, that's
you're
a
worth
wrap
it.
on this episode of Heart to Hearts with Erika M. If today hit a nerve, stirred a truth, or sparked a comeback, make sure to subscribe, share, and come back next Sunday when Erika talks about whatever she wants. Midlife isn't the end. It's where the story gets good and the middle gets rewritten. Your way.